It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The You-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at youlike.com, because at YouLike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. YouLike. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Welcome to the friendly confines of the Rogue Media Network. Pete Sousa. This is the Pete Sousa Show. Brought to you by Slovacics. Of course, Crawford Austin Properties doing this big-time service. And I love Sikora Family Ford. I've told you about it. Brian Sikora is the man. You go out there. You're in the market for a car. Just go check it out. Dip your toe in the water. I'm telling you. You're going to have a good experience. And we can't forget our good friends at Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. And the list goes on. We'll get to some of our other sponsors later in the show. Later in the show, too, we're going to have Anna Camden join us. She is a superstar, former hoops player, content creator, played in the Big Ten, played at Penn State, then transferred, played at Richmond. And she's going to give us some insight on, she played against Caitlin Clark at Penn State. I think that Anna would have been a professional player, but she ran into some serious knee trouble. And so I'm curious to get her take on what's going on in the celebration of the WNBA and the absolute fireworks display that it is. And so we'll chat with her about that, whether the WNBA needs to get involved to protect Caitlin Clark. Who is Sophie Cunningham as a player? I think we all have our ideas right now, but we're going to drill down on some of that stuff with Anna Camden. She's coming up in segment 2. But you have to start off with the NBA Finals. Game 7, Sunday night. Oklahoma City is an 8.5-point favorite, which I'm like a little surprised. Get this hat straight. There you go. Which 8.5. Like I watched Stephen A. after the game last night, and this is all, pomp and circumstance. But he mentioned, hey, it should be a pick'em, and I feel like it really is going to be a nip and tuck affair. And here's why. There's numbers that back this up. Just to get into Game 7s before we get into last night's game. This is the 20th Game 7 in NBA Finals history. Like, think about that. This league's been around for a long time. This is the 20th, okay? And then we look at, it's the 5th, just the 5th in the last 35 years, okay? And the last 8 Game 7s have all been decided by single digits. So we have like not only is it a basketball game, but it's a bit of a celebration like going on Sunday night. These are rare occurrences. This isn't just a Game 7. It's an NBA Finals Game 7. And the timing, I feel, of last night's blowout really makes this interesting. And here's what I mean. I have seen teams, as recently as last year, we saw the Mavs just absolutely dismantle the Celtics, I think, and I wrote it down here. I think it was a 38-point win. Yeah, 122-84. I think that's 38. Of course, Dallas eventually goes on to lose the series. Now, that was Game 4, right? Like, and we have seen this in the NBA Finals before, like the, what was it? The Boston Massacre, I think. Like, there was a game in the 80s where, and if you look at those Celtics-Lakers finals, there were a few games where, one team would blow the other out of the water, but then they would recover. It's just a blowout, right? You flush it. But this is like really in the rear view here for the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's like, can they shake this off? And I don't know, the last time a team, and I did some digging in the crate for this one, but it makes a lot of sense because of the instance we're in. I believe that loss last night could have legs, and it was demoralizing. I also believe that the fact that the Pacers won in such a convincing fashion, I mean, very convincing, right? And they did it collectively, like they have been doing it all year long. 7 different guys hit a 3. We'll talk about Halliburton in a moment, but the last time a team, I think, here we go. 1978, right? The Bullets and the Sonics, they played back-to-back years in 77 and then 78. The Sonics had won in 77, and they were up again in 78, 3-2, okay? Now, the Sonics went on the road with an opportunity to win the championship in Landover, Maryland, to play the Bullets, where the Bullets used to play at the Cap Center. And the Bullets blew them out. They won 117-82. An absolute blowout. And the next game, Game 7, they went back to Seattle and they won the title. That's like the one specific example that you can relate this situation to. And could there be a hangover from just getting destroyed? And it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the 1986 World Series with the Mets after like the Bill Buckner disaster. Like this is could be a real slingshot for the Pacers, and for momentum-wise, belief-wise, chemistry-wise. We said it yesterday, and a lot of us had the Pacers DOA, like going into this game at home because of the Halliburton injury, and because of just how well we felt like the Thunder were playing. There was a coronation that was supposed to take place last night. Well, the Pacers have put that on hold, right? And I thought it was really cool. Udonis Haslem had a great point last night. And I think he's been tremendous, by the way, for ESPN. He's Guy played 20 years in the NBA. I think he won 3 titles, more than qualified, and he's really good. And when a guy like this says something like what I'm about to tell you, it really gets my attention because, if I'm sitting here popping off, or even if a columnist or somebody is saying, well, they let what the media had to say get in their head, and that affected how they played. I'm always kind of like, settle down, dude. Like, you really don't know. But when Udonis Haslem says that the Oklahoma City Thunder played as though they had been reading the headlines, their own headlines, right, and listening to all the pundits out there that talked about the fact that, hey, Oklahoma City's got this in the bag, they're going to win, Halliburton's hurt, and then they came out and looked lifeless. And for Udonis Haslem to say, that more than likely had an effect on how they played is sort of scary, because now you go into Game 7 where, and it is so important to note this with all the stuff going on the floor, because Halliburton talks about it after the game. He says, look, going into Game 7, we have to control what we can control. He said the narratives are going to be poison, right? It's so interesting. Like you never heard when I was a kid, or I never heard Magic Johnson say like the narratives are going to be toxic, or we can't, like, you had a couple newspapers, you had a couple columnists you were really familiar with, and beat writers, of course. You had your local television, and you had your big time like TV if you were on a big time game. Like outside of that, like the local news, they wouldn't even give all the sports scores. For like Major League Baseball and stuff. This is like in the 90s, or, your quick action news, if you're me in Philly, 6-minute sportscast wouldn't really get to everything, And then you had, of course, ESPN comes on the scene, more 24-hour sports networks. God bless you, Scotty. He's here today, kicking ass, obviously. And it's like we're in such a different time. So back to what Udonis said, I'm really interested to see how these teams will respond to, one, the absolute blowout that took place for the Thunder. Worth noting, it's the second time this year they had an opportunity to play for a trophy. I mentioned this earlier this week, feels like forever ago, how they lost to Milwaukee in that like NBA Cup. This was back months ago, but they did lose that game. And this is another opportunity now for them to win a trophy. How are they going to respond? And it's a major, major moment for SGA. If MVPs in the NBA Finals in Game 7, you got to come through. You have to come through. The last time we saw an MVP get beat in a Game 7 was actually in the last Game 7. It was when Steph Curry and Golden State lost to the Cavs, but he was playing LeBron, another MVP caliber guy. I don't know if you'd say that SGA is staring across the barrel at, Halliburton, we've had a lot of ups and downs with him, right? And I think that if he can stay consistent the way he's played this year, we always say superstar, whatever. He will be one of the faces of the NBA, superstar, whatever you want to call it. I feel like there's a little bit more time left, or, just a body of work I'd like to see him stack up. But for SGA, man, you can cement your legacy right here tonight because you're there. I always go back to my Dan Marino example, and it's a terrifying example. It really is. Marino goes to that 84 Super Bowl to play the 49ers, has an amazing year, his second year, threw like 48 touchdowns, broke a record. Nobody could stop the Dolphins. They end up going to play, it was at Stanford Stadium. So they play in Palo Alto at Stanford Stadium where they play the 49ers. Marino's first Super Bowl, of course. And they get smoked. And again, as a real little guy, and I was super little, so one of the first Super Bowls I ever remember, I can remember thinking, because I was like a football fan, I adored the sport at the time, I'll see Dan Marino again in the finals or in the Super Bowl. There's no way I won't see him again. It was a given, right? Well, it never happened again. And for SGA, these moments, and I don't have to have been, I don't have to have played in a Super Bowl or played in the NBA Finals to know this. I know this from looking in the history books. These moments can be fleeting. You're the MVP. You have game 7 at home. You're a young man. Your career is like a rocket ship right now. This is an opportunity for you to be part of NBA history, to be part of the lore, right? And sure, Indiana, it is more of a basketball state, and Indianapolis, the town, whatever, all than we can ever imagine. Okay, great. But we've got a particular player here who is one of the best in the NBA, who sometimes is overlooked because I think where he plays and also where he's from, being from Canada. But this is it, man. This is the opportunity for you to become a poster boy, not just in the NBA, but in my everyday life, right? Like commercials, turning around, billboards, ads, whatever, social media. Boom, you're scrolling, you see them. This is one of those moments, and there is a lot obviously at stake. And I can tell you one thing I look forward to, or I would look forward to if I was a Thunder fan. And it's the same thing I said last night ahead of the game before, or 2 days ago, ahead of game 6. And it's a Doc Rivers quote, and it's so right. Role players in the playoffs play big at home. They do. And we saw it last night. McConnell comes off the bench again, 17. Nembhard Nembhard had 17. Toppin had 20. I think McConnell had 12 or 14. And man, you feel that dude's presence every time he steps on the court. And then Halliburton, who was, of course, a game time decision, finds a way to be effective and threatening. And we talked about Halliburton. He's not aggressive, right? Boy, how times have changed. I mean, he comes out with the gimpy calf and he launches like 4 shots early. And I don't know if that was like if he wanted to test the waters or get it out of his system, but he found his way. They missed their first 8 shots, I think the Pacers did. And a key timeout with 3 minutes gone in the game, and this is why Rick Carlisle's awesome, he calls a timeout and just sort of settles everybody down. And the Pacers go on to erase a big first half or first quarter deficit, and then just it's bananas in the second quarter, and then they don't look back after that. The Halliburton, the way that he was handled by Rick Carlisle, one, not pulling him out of the game after he had hoisted a bunch of shots and missed them. You might be thinking, oh man, is he not okay? Whatever. And of course he gave him rests, but he didn't like sit him. And then believing in him, continuing to, it was very clear, like, dude, Halliburton, you got the green light. Like, I don't care how you're feeling. If you're out there, you got the green light. And eventually he caught fire, or enough fire, for that to become a threat, for that to be something that Oklahoma City had to worry about. And defensively, getting into this game, the way that they're defending, can you tell I watched the whole game? The way they're defending SGA is pretty amazing. It seems like it switches almost every game. They're trying to wear him down. They're trying to make him tired. And they're sending, it's like a blitz. And they're sending all these different guys, like he's man-to-man with somebody, and then all of a sudden, here comes Siakam. All of a sudden, here comes Nembhard. And it's brilliant, and clearly it's working. So, you can't necessarily shut him down, but you can certainly keep him on his heels. And, I can't wait for Game 7. I'm super excited. I have to admit, in the spirit of honesty, that I when the Pacers were up 2-1 and they still were getting odds, I think plus 200, I put a couple shekels on the Pacers to win the series. Now, I had all but kissed that goodbye, right? Any chance of that? But now we're back in business, baby. So not only do I get to watch a Game 7, right, where I just can't wait because I love Game 7s. I mean, think of, as a kid, when there was a game, that was, Game 7s were permission for me to stay up past my bedtime. Game 7s or national championship games, the one and done. I couldn't, a Game 1 or a Game 2, I got to go to bed. My parents ran a pretty tight ship. But a Game 7, at 6, 7, 8 years old, we could ride it out. And I still get that feeling, right? It's a party. Sunday night is going to be a party. And I cannot wait. A celebration, a Game 7, just the 20th Game 7 in NBA Finals history, the 5th in the last 35 years. And the good news, it should be a close game. The last 7 have been decided by single digits. Odds makers think differently, though. Oklahoma City, an 8.5-point favorite. I can't wait till Sunday night. We're going to find out exactly what goes down, and we're also going to talk. We're going to kind of stick with Indy, transition to women's basketball. We got Anna Camden coming up after this break, content creator, basketball superstar, should be playing in the WNBA right now. Injuries hampered her ability to turn pro, but she still got all the knowledge. And, yeah, and if you want to know why I'm in the tank for Anna, by the way, we're from the same neighborhood, and we went to the same college, and we're both tall. That's all you need to know. We'll be right back. Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
The Pete Sousa Show returns, and we got Anna Camden joining us right now. There she is, content creator, almost feel like she's a family member of mine. I was telling people before we went to break, I'm in the tank for you because one, we grew up in the same neighborhood. We went to the same school and we're both tall and very cool.
Yes, sir. Great description.
So that's it. But you went to, I was actually back home in Philly last week and I drove by your beautiful campus at Shipley. I mean, that's where the big time superstars went,
Yeah, Shipley's an awesome place. School is beautiful. I don't know if you knew this, but I took the train to school every day. So it was like
No
40
way.
minutes
The
there.
R5?
Yeah. No, I just took SEPTA. Was it the
Okay.
R5? SEPTA,
Yeah,
whatever
the
that
R5,
is.
I think. Yeah, SEPTA.
So
yeah.
I would take it. I'm from Downingtown, which is about 40, 30 minutes depending on traffic from Shipley. So I would take a 40-minute train ride into Bryn Mawr and then 40 minutes back every single day. But it was so worth it.
I have a pretty good guess that you're probably one of the only students at Shipley that was taking the train there.
There was actually a couple of us. There was a couple of us that had gotten a scholarship to Shipley for sports, like myself, and the most efficient way to get there with the train.
You made the most of it too. I think you had 1,600 points in high school. Pretty good.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you taking the time. There's so much going on right now, and I follow you on social, and I love you put up a couple videos about the WNBA, some of the attention it's getting, some of the fireworks that we've been seeing recently. And they've been totally captivating. People can check that out at Anna Camden. And I'm curious to get your opinion on the surging popularity of the league right now. I'm like last night, I'm after the finals, I'm watching Golden State and the Fever, and the environment is electric. And I know a lot of that is connected to Caitlin Clark, but as a player, somebody who put your fingerprints on the game, and I believe you'd still be playing if you didn't get hurt. But what do you make of the popularity of the sport right now? Is this something you saw coming?
Oh, it is amazing. And while I would have always hoped for this, I never thought that it would happen this quick. It was so linear. They always say growth isn't linear. This is pretty dang linear over the last 2 years. So I think I knew that the WNBA and women's basketball in general had this potential, but I think the way that it has just exponentially gotten so much popularity, so much attention, so much more viewership, so much more engagement with people has been incredible to see over the last couple of years.
As a former player, what is some of the growth that you really enjoy watching yourself? Something that surprised you?
I think my favorite thing ever is when I put on a game and they'll flash the whole stadium or they'll flash the courtside people, and just seeing the energy and atmosphere of those games. When I was younger and our AAU team would go to a WNBA game, it would be empty. It would be quiet. It would not have this competitive atmosphere that the games have now. And if they show on TV a little girl with a poster or something, it just literally it makes me so excited and so proud to be a women's basketball player and to be representing a new generation of hoopers that are going to come up, and this is the standard, and they're going to grow up and be like, I want to be like her, more so than ever. And that's just so special to be a part of.
No, and I think you're totally right. When I turned on that game last night, I was like, holy crap. It's there's an electricity in that arena. Now, granted, it's an expansion team, so there's energy around that. They're playing the Fever. But I was like, I don't care what this is or where it is. This is awesome. And some of the history that you have, knowing the game and then knowing some of the players, right? Again, you played 4 years in the Big Ten, transferred to Richmond. Yeah, you were playing before Caitlin Clark actually got there.
Yeah, so I had a year in the Big Ten before she got there, and then I played 3 years versus her.
Yeah, you actually had one game, I think, in February. You had 18 and she had 32. So that's pretty good. That was pretty good. 18 and 7 boards. So you were right there, but you also had a chance to play against JC Sheldon, and you knew the ins and outs of the league, the rhythms of it. Describe some of the tension or the rivalry between JC Sheldon and Caitlin Clark that may have been bubbling before we saw that fight on Tuesday night, or tussle, whatever you want to call it.
100%. So, well, first of all, Both Ohio State and Iowa during their careers were at the top of the league. Like those were competitive, important games for both of those teams to win, right? Because the Big Ten women's basketball top tier, like just so that we send 7 or 8 teams every single year to the tournament, so it's very competitive. Then you add into that JC and Caitlin are the faces of their teams during that point. So they're like the leaders, they're the stars. They have the biggest role on the team. And of course, there's going to be that competitive nature of who's going to win this matchup, who's going to win this battle. And there's the individual matchup and then there's the team matchup. And how can that not be competitive? I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that it's personal. I think it's just two competitive, really good basketball players fighting to be the best on the court in that moment. And when you're in the same league or conference as someone for so many years straight, you start to learn their game like the back of your hand. It starts to get more and more competitive, and you start to know their tactics. You know what to expect, and then it just keeps building. It's one of the best parts of conference basketball.
So watching the intensity, right, that we saw on Tuesday night, and then ultimately it culminates into something that we see everywhere, and some of the frustration that some fans have is like, oh, like they're not players are resentful of Caitlin Clark, and I think that look, two things can be true at once. You can appreciate the impact she's had on the game and still be a little resentful. I was saying here yesterday, like, I call a lot of games broadcasting, but I'm always a little resentful of like the guys who are calling maybe more or bigger games. It's just natural. I don't let it like overtake me. And I always end up like, okay, you channel it, you kind of bring God in and you say like, well, that's great. This person is maybe lighting the way for me, per se.
Mhm.
Like, don't get, envious. But do you think that there is some of that resentment that maybe spills over onto the court?
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts about this actually. So, first of all, I think there's a difference between being resentful towards Caitlyn and being resentful towards her fans. And I think that gets lost in translation a lot. I think a lot of the frustration that comes from WNBA players, and obviously this is my speculation and my guessing, I'm not in the league myself, but it would be towards both the media and the fans and the way that people react to certain plays, the way that it gets blown up, and then these WNBA players are personally attacked, being sent death threats, being told to die, all of these things because they had a hard foul on Caitlin Clark, or because, whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that some of those hard fouls might have been a little extra, might have looked a little personal. Like there's definitely instances of that, but I think that the resentment might come from the portrayal of things and the disproportionate way that it's all shown in the media. With that being said, there is also a nature of this that I think is a bit of a double standard with it being women. I think if these are happening in the NBA, it's, oh, that's competitive. Oh, they got to welcome the rookie to the league. But it's happening in the WNBA and it's like, this is catty, this is personal. They're going after her, they're bullying her. Like whatever happened to some good competitive nature when Kobe got to the NBA, there was a lot of welcoming moments for him, right? Like Michael Jordan wasn't just going to let him waltz in and be the new GOAT. So yes, there are moments where I'm like, that was a little too much or that looked a little personal, but that happens in every single league. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts, but I also will say this. Having played against Caitlin, she is such a smart player and she's smart in her IQ of the game, but she's also smart in the way that she competes. She's very sly in some of the comments she might make or her little competitive things. I think she does a very good job of knowing how to get under people's skin without everyone else in the arena knowing. And if I had to guess, that would be something that she's still doing right now, which is not a bad thing. That's a good competitor. You know how to work the game to your advantage. So I think that's something that I also would expect to be happening that builds up little bits of tension.
No, that's some great insight there, and I love the point you make about, all of it, but the one that I wanted to follow up on was like, the players that could be upset, or maybe more upset at like things outside of Caitlin Clark, right? Maybe her orbit, like the media, the fans. Do you think that she ever does she have conversations, you think, with other players like, hey, like this is crazy? Like, like players on opposing teams, like almost like, I'm sorry for this. Like some of these fans are out of their mind. Like, is there a communication there where she still keeps a relationship like and a normal one with other players in the league?
Honestly, I think about this all the time and I have no idea because I think there would be like if I was in her position, I think I would be like, oh my gosh, like I feel the need to like clear the air here,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But also she's just doing her job, and she's incredibly gifted, and she's the most entertaining player in the WNBA right now. So she doesn't need to apologize for that. She's not responsible for what the media does because of how good she is, right? So I definitely wonder about that, but I don't have the answer for it.
A couple more questions for you. This is great stuff. When you look at the WNBA, a lot of, a writer who I grew up reading, Christine Brennan, great writer, and she was, somebody like her, somebody who has really cultivated or been proactive about promoting women's sports forever since I was a real little kid. So she's kind of a voice I listen to. She tweets, during that game after that scuffle, they need to do a better job, these officials, whether it's protecting Caitlin Clark or their superstars. What do you make of that? Like, do the officials, does the league have a role in cleaning some of this up?
Okay, so the officiating is not something that I've honestly paid too much attention to as of late until that game, and specifically Indiana's head coach Stephanie White. Her comments kind of surprised me because she kind of called out like our officiating needs to get better as the league grows. So I will say this: there can't be favoritism. Like I get a little come on when it's protect Caitlin Clark because all the players need to be protected. Like an official's job is not to only protect the superstars. Now, should Marina Mabry's shoved to the body probably been upgraded during the game? Yes, absolutely. I was shocked that it wasn't. But there can't be like, we're just always got to protect this one player. And I don't think that anyone's asking for that. I don't think Caitlin's asking for that. But I just, there can't be favoritism. And I think that if we're only calling out the officiating on one player, then that seems to be a little lopsided, especially because I think there are calls that go her way and there are definitely calls that don't go her way as well. So those are my thoughts. I definitely am going to be paying more attention to the officiating moving forward, though.
How much fun are you having watching these games this year? Like really, like are you watching? I know you're busy, you got all kinds of stuff, but are you watching like a couple games a week, like or more than you normally would, especially with what you do now? I mean, you're basically a hoops analyst, as your career starts to take off. But are you watching a lot of games?
Yes, for sure. And I think it's almost more fun now because my class is all in the league. And so I know these girls. I played these girls. I know they're scouts. And so I'm like, has she gotten her left hand better? You know what I mean? And that's very fun and entertaining for me to watch. And also not having an upcoming season myself has freed me up a little bit to have some time on my hands to just enjoy the game a little bit more and not be spending as much time perfecting my game and just learning the game, if that makes sense.
I bet it's nice for you to kind of, are you able to sit back and take it easy on yourself and now be like, okay, my work in this corner of my life is done, right? As far as being a player, you'll still contribute to the game, but are you able to shift gears as a star athlete and just finally relax and take it in?
I think I'm shifting gears, but it's not towards relaxment. It's more towards, all right, let's analyze this game. Let me listen to what's the play-by-play saying. What's the sideline reporter's questions? Like if you're watching a game with me and we come back from the commercial and of the finals and, Lisa Salters is asking a question, I'm like, shh, everyone listen. I need to hear what she says. I need to hear how she phrased it. I'm more so switching into that reporter gear, if that makes sense, but definitely shifting gears.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so one of the things I had to ask you was, part of that incident the other night was Sophie Cunningham shows up. I knew who she was because I know women's hoops. I've known her since Missouri, but a lot of people are like, whoa, now she's in the middle, right, with the spotlight on her. Was she, because you mentioned some of the physicality with Caitlin Clark. Oh, here's what you mentioned, Kobe, right? When he came into the league, MJ wasn't going to take it easy on him. I go back further, MJ came into the league and teams were beating the crap out of him. The Pistons and the Knicks, they made it their job. So really the NBA came over and created what they called the Jordan rules. You couldn't hand check him anymore. But also the Bulls, they got Charles Oakley, who was this big enforcer, almost like Michael Jordan's bodyguard or protector. Now, Sophie Cunningham coming to the Fever, is she, obviously she's a good player, but her being brought on to that organization, is that part of hey, let's build around Caitlin Clark. Let's get some players who come to our team that are invested in her and taking care of her?
100%. I think the Fever looked at their roster last year, and there was a lot of criticism of why does no one have Caitlin's back? She's being shoved to the ground. Why is no one stepping up in this moment? So I think the Fever would have 100% looked at the roster and said, okay, we got to get some big people out here who are big dogs that aren't afraid to bark a little bit. And that's exactly what Sophie is. She's a great player, like you said, but I mean, she's played for a long time in Phoenix with Diana Taurasi, who has one of the biggest barks in professional basketball. So 100%, I think that's why part of the reason, if not the reason, that she was brought in, and she's backing it up. I mean, there's been several instances already where she gets tossed to the ground, she's right back up. And it's so entertaining sometimes because she could be so much smaller than whoever she's getting up in their face, but she does not care. And it's that competitive nature is definitely admirable. But I will say, I didn't like the difference in reception of her hard foul versus JC Sheldon. Everyone was praising her for that, which I love that she had Caitlin's back, but it was like, this is what JC deserved. Whereas JC had, hit Caitlin in the eye, whether that was intentional or not. It looks like a basketball play to me. The chest bump after was not a basketball play, but they were received so differently. And one was being praised and the other was being called a dirty player. And I was like, what in the world? Like, you got to have a little bit of balance here. So she was definitely brought in for that job, but I had to throw that in there because that was something that bothered me a little bit.
I like that too, because coming from you, like you mentioned, somebody who knows Caitlin Clark's game a little bit, knows how she can maybe get under the skin of an opponent. Like, we see that isolated incident. It's like, oh my gosh, why would she face rake her? But actually, it's in the heat of the moment, and there's probably a lot that went on before that's elevated the intensity.
Exactly. I mean, there was a clip that there in the start of the second quarter, there was a moment between JC and Caitlin, and they're kind of talking a little bit, and Caitlin goes, "I can do whatever the bleep I want," and kind of shoves her. And that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's competitive. That's what you want to see if you're a basketball fan.
Yeah.
But people need to understand that tension started there, and then it built the entire game. Like, JC's scrappy defense wasn't just from that. I mean, she always plays scrappy defense, but like, there was tension building. And honestly, that's great for women's basketball. I think it's amazing. It makes it entertaining. I think the NBA is lacking a lot of that these days, if I'm being honest. So you can't complain about it, but there definitely is a difference in the way that people portray certain instances.
Anna Camden, you brought it. Thank you so much. You can find her, everybody, at Anna Camden. Anything else you want to say or promote? Anything?
No, I appreciate you having me on. It's very fun. And everyone, if you're not already, tune into women's sports. If you're not, you're missing out.
Let's go. All right, Anna Camden, thanks so much. I'll be in touch. Appreciate your time so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Pete.
Anna Camden right there. I mean, boy, you talk about delivering the goods. That was, first of all, she's so compelling the way that she can present. And then you can tell she's got basketball in her DNA, and I love the insight. That's a lot. When you talk to someone like that who played in the Big Ten, and has been a part of the women's college basketball or women's basketball scene for so long, there's such a better perspective that she can grant as opposed to me or many other people in this job. Because again, she can give us insight, stuff that we don't know, stuff about, even Sophie Cunningham playing with Taurasi. I had forgotten about that. And the rivalry between Sheldon and Caitlin goes way back, obviously, to before Tuesday night. So that was awesome. Appreciate Anna Camden. We will be back after this. Scotty Swingler and I going to wrap it up on a Friday here. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
OsleyMD.com.
I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
OsleyMD.com.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science. Take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
At the Pete Sousa Show, we continue on. Game 7 on Sunday night. 8.5-point favorite are the Oklahoma City Thunder. At home, cannot wait. Oh, look at that. Scotty B, the Baylor King, just gave Camden a follow. Thanks, Scotty. Scotty's the best. One thing I want to talk about that's not the best right now, or it depends on who you ask, I guess, is Shedeur Sanders. So here's the deal, right? Like, I've been wanting to talk about this for a little bit. We haven't had a ton of time, and then something new just came out about it. So twice, I guess, in the past month, or no, past week, I think, Shedeur Sanders has been busted for speeding, okay? Like, speeding is not a huge deal, right? We want people to stay safe. But twice in a week is not a good sign. And here's the one thing. The one thing I hate about all this, and like, I don't mean to go dark, but like, you know, like the whole like racing deal with the younger generation, and I'm not saying that he was racing with somebody, but like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like not a young dude anymore, like revving to go like that. Like, trust me, I've sped over the past year, like a lot. And a lot of it was when I was working on the morning news, I was always pressing to get to work, and I was flying. I mean, laundry list of tickets. But I can say, and not that it's a proper defense, it's not, but I was always like late for something. I've been speeding to get a kick out of it. Not that that at all makes anything different, I guess. I'm just as guilty as Shedeur is. But here's the difference. By the way, I haven't gotten a ticket in a long time. But here's the difference. Like, he is a number 1 draft pick trying to secure a job for an NFL team. And unfortunately, the youth or the excitement of driving fast is overshadowing for him the opportunity he has. You don't want to see this kind of like, and I don't want to call it bad luck because it's his own fault, but like, it's kind of like speeding is against the law. It's wrong, but it's not a felony, right? It's not like a complete like knock on like who the guy is character wise, but it can't help him, man. Like, I hate the idea of a team that passed on Shedeur being like, hey, like, I told you so. Like, this is what it is. Like, I hate hearing that. And I have heard too, one of the guys I talked to around the Big 12, who I'm not going to name, like, they said the one thing about Shedeur in Boulder, it was somebody out in Boulder actually during a hoops game I was calling. Like, he like would just pull out and park wherever he wanted, just leave the car there and amass a ton of tickets. The speeding, right? Like, there's a little bit of entitlement there. I think that he's probably going to have to work through. And, if he hasn't already, again, this is not the end of the world, but it's not a good look. 1 ticket, who cares? 2 in the same week. Yeah, I think, let me make sure they were in the same week, just so I'm not, let's get our facts straight here. Sanders said, let's see. A daily, yeah, it's twice. Jesus. On the 16th and the 17th. Okay, so he didn't go to court. I'm sorry. So he got the ticket earlier in the month. He was supposed to go to court on the 16th. He didn't show up. So then on the 17th, he got caught speeding again, going 101 and a 60. So he's driving like way over. So look, man, I hate seeing this. Because I don't want him to have anything stand in the way of reaching his full potential. And I believe he could be a starting quarterback for the Browns this year, and I believe he could do well. I was talking with Cam Stewart yesterday on Locked On Baylor about Big 12 quarterbacks coming into the season this year, and this quarterback class among the Big 12. The quarterback class is among the best in Big 12 history, and certainly among the best in college football this year, if not the best, the quarterback class in the Big 12. But talking about that class, we brought up Shedeur. And, as he was as prolific as he was, his best trait was really managing the game, staying cool, having a great attitude. His offensive line sucked most of the time. Yeah, he had some outbursts and some stuff like a normal human being would have. But overall, he really seemed like a wonderful steward for that Colorado offense and made the plays when he had to, was efficient. His interception numbers have always been down when you compare him to his touchdowns, which is like super impressive. I hate to think that there's some like ticky-tack bullshit about his personality. That's really not that big a deal. That's just a young guy that grew up in a very wealthy family that's got amazing skills and good looks and everything going for him. I can't imagine why he'd be a little arrogant, oh, wait, maybe I can. But I hate to think that it's like little stuff like that could throw him off, because this is, look, man, life is a game of inches, right? Football is a game of inches. Look, by the way, how about this? The first 3 Super Bowls that the New England Patriots won under Bill Belichick, they were won by a total of 9 points. Like, that's a game of inches. That's building a dynasty on inches, right? Like, so there's so many little things in life that can affect you and can throw you off the path, especially if you're trying to be a 1%er. Like, the reason these guys get paid so much playing in the NFL and in the NBA and the major leagues is because nobody else can do it. Like, that's why. Like, that's why they get paid so much. The same reason that Tom Cruise gets paid, hundreds of millions of dollars to jump out of freaking planes on movie sets, because people will pay to see him do that more than anybody else. Scotty even agrees. Like, so we're talking about like an unforgiving industry that will not show you much grace if you can't produce to impact the bottom line. And if some of your behavior, although it's not abhorrent, right, is still throwing you off the scent of your ultimate goal, which is being the best, which is really hard to be in your chosen field if you're Shedeur Sanders, you got to clean up the BS, right? Like, again, it's not the end of the world, but like, you got to clean up the BS. Here's an example of a guy who's older that's cleaned up the BS too. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, we got to talk about this on the show. Hey, Bill Belichick, congratulations, dude. We haven't said a word. I haven't seen the word Jordan Hudson appear anywhere. In my regular scrolling or viewing or looking or taking in content in what seems like a while, right? So whatever took place behind the scenes after, because we can all agree that we really bottomed out during that CBS interview. And that really pulled the curtain back on what was just like a train wreck of a situation. And then you enter Pablo Torre, and then it's lights out. You do not want Pablo Torre knocking at your door. You don't. I'll get to one more nugget on him, and then we'll get out of here. But the Bill Belichick situation is like, clearly somebody in his camp, maybe it was him, whatever, there was a bunch of nonsense going on around his life that was taking away from his ability to be the best at his job, right? Which is an impossible job to be the best at. That's one of the caveats of this situation. So he has, at least short term, temporarily, shown that he's somewhat rectified that. Belichick has. And, hopefully Shedeur, a much younger guy, which I would say this is probably of less consequence, even though it's legal. I would say Shedeur's speeding tickets are of less consequence than Bill Belichick in this wild environment he's created for himself personally. But that's just my scale. I mean, what scale is that? I don't know, but that's what I think. That's my opinion. One more thing about Pablo Torre, okay? Like, I respect him. He's clearly awesome at his job. I saw a story yesterday that on his show, Pablo Torre finds out he is working on exposing a hip-hop album that Sam Presti put out decades ago. And it's called Milk Money, okay? And Sam Presti's sort of like, for lack of a better way of describing it, he's like Eminem. Have you seen this? Okay. So what do you, Scotty, join me here. What do you, so Pablo Torre, right, is obviously an amazing journalist. And the reason this I get a bug up my ass about this is because from what I read, Sam Presti has tried to scrub this from the internet, right?
We all do things when we're young that we don't want everybody looking at.
So like, I mean, what was he being like offensive? Was he like, is there behavior in there?
Have you watched Pablo talk about it?
No.
I haven't either. Maybe we just need to go watch it.
Maybe we need to go watch it. Yeah.
And see what he says.
Because
the title Milk Money isn't a great look to
give me
start.
a break. Who is Pablo Torre to run around like the goddamn sheriff?
I thought you just were talking about how
he's
how
amazing.
good he is.
Well, I was ramping up. I was qualifying to his like great skills. But seriously, dude, like I've got to do more investigating about this Milk Money situation. So let's
listen. Everybody that's trying to make money doing this sports thing on YouTube needs a niche.
Yeah.
And Pablo's is becoming TMZ, but a little more credible and a little more interesting on sports figures. And I kind of love it.
I'm here for it too, but I don't like the idea of like, I don't know. I just don't know. Like what purpose does this serve? I'm sure we'll find out.
Entertainment.
Entertainment, yeah, but like what is and we don't know, so we can't have this conversation, but like, what is the precipice? What is the reason that he would want to bring this story to light?
I don't know why he's going after
Yeah.
Presti. I mean, it could be taking advantage of the fact that the Thunder in the finals. I getting clicks. I found his. I know you and Cam talked about this a couple weeks ago. I found his argument for why he was going so hard after Belichick to be really intriguing.
It was great.
He's the highest paid public employee of the state.
Yeah,
like
he did it, and he kind of gave it to Bill Simmons on that little. Did you watch that?
Oh, I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
Did you see the part where? And I watched. This was being discussed. Katie Nolan and Pablo Torre.
By the way, I'm so glad Katie Nolan's on that show. I think she's so good.
she is.
I miss having her on. Like,
she's a
big
frustrating.
networks.
She's a frustrating media personality for me because I feel like she was like. On this linear rocket ship.
Yeah, right.
And I think she sort of like maybe got in her own way a little bit. I think like she overthought it, right? But maybe she just didn't want it that bad, whatever. So now she's back in the mix. That's great. She's really good. But Simmons, Pablo was like, did you watch any of the episodes where these quotes were aggregated from that you read and then you decided to like attack me on? And Simmons didn't answer. But he changed the subject so quickly. I mean, and that was a slick move by Simmons. But what do they say? By the way, anything Bear the Truth or Scotty B before we wrap
see what
up?
our boys are saying.
Our dudes?
Our boys. Bear the Truth says accountability and ramifications for these athletes makes the game better. Scotty B, I don't know that I would invoke this name. I think while you were talking about Shadur, he invoked a name that I would not compare. He said Johnny
Scotty,
Manziel.
No, Scotty. See, that's like old school.
Scotty,
Big 12 hate.
I agree that Shadur needs to rein it in, but Johnny Manziel's on hard drugs against the NFL. Like that, that's a totally different deal. Bear the Truth. This is a good way to kind of end our show today. Congrats to Ray J. Dennis or Adam Flagler, Baylor Bears, one of whom this weekend will have an NBA championship.
Will be an NBA champion.
One of them will have a ring at the conclusion of this
by
weekend.
the way, the last thing, what's going on with Ashton Hawkins? Is he good?
Dude, this is where I'll give Scotty B credit since I kind of ripped his Johnny Manziel comment. Scotty B tweets at the NCAA every single day to give Ashton his justice and his eligibility back. They have not. The last I heard was just the first update from Baylor, which they said we will fight this with every resource we have.
Yeah.
And I assumed that meant appeal, lawsuit,
Yeah.
But it's been weirdly quiet on that front, at least in my circles. I haven't heard a lot about it. I sure hope they let him play.
Oh,
because
God.
I mean, we covered this when it happened a month ago, but like screwed him not only out of a college football season, but like an NFL opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Because he did all of spring camp thinking he was going to play for Baylor for another year.
Yeah.
So that's just screwed up.
All right, it's screwed up.
It's screwed up.
We'll be we won't be screwed up. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy Game 7. For all you know, I'll be doing a live reaction show Sunday night from Flower Mound. Don't worry, Scotty, that won't involve you. Well, guys got.
I got a shift, man. I got a shift. I'm in fine dining now.
Guy's got a life. He's a busy man. Okay. All right, we'll be back. The Pete Sousa Show. Oh, hold on 1 second. You ready? Todd. Todd, say hello. By the way, say hello real quick. Hello. All right, that is the great Todd Glass, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Todd, I'll call you back. I'm in the middle of my show. All right. Yeah.
I have a lot to say,
What do you want to say? This is Todd Glass, comedian, and close friend of mine, family friend.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say. I was calling because I know what tomorrow is, but
Yeah.
But we could talk about that later. But I had some just good laughs thinking of him.
Oh, we were talking about my brother Kevin. There's a picture right behind me of Kevin in the studio, Todd.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to. I always have Kevin in my head. When I think about him, he goes, you don't have to think about me and be all sad. You could just think about me and laugh. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry.
That is Todd Glass. Who brought Todd and I together was my brother, and he's like an angel. Passed away 2 years ago. His birthday is tomorrow, and we're going to be thinking of him.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, call me later and finish the rest of your show. I love you. We'll talk soon.
All right. Love you too, buddy. See ya. All right. That's the great Todd Glass checking in. Look Todd Glass up. Give him a follow and check out his tour dates. The guy's hilarious. Pete Sousa Show. We'll be back on Monday.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.